Hi, this is Dr. Don. I want to spend a little bit more time doing a more in-depth walkthrough of this big code chunk in the QuickStart that we use to create our 6 charts that show how the chosen countries voted on 6 different issues over the years that the UN has been in operation. So let's take a look at this chunk and just go through some things here. I just wanted to start up at the top of the code chunk. We have these are called three slashes. They're called back quotes, and those are critical. They establish that this is a code chunk. You can see we've got closing back quotes down at the bottom. Don't mess with those. Make sure you have those in there. And then we have a bracket, and at the minimum we have an R, which stands for R code, and then a closing bracket. But we can put additional information up here, and this first part is just the name that we want to give this particular code chunk. Plot, yearly, yes, issue, and then a comma, and then we're establishing how wide and how high we want the graph to be. And then I've got a final thing here, message equal false. As you'll find out that R will often just give you tons of information when you run code. And it's distracting, and it makes your final report look kind of junky. So I'm saying we're going to suppress those messages. Messages are informative. They're not critical necessarily. So that's the top. And then we start here with the UN votes data object that we loaded earlier, and we're using the pipe operator to say let's focus on the UN votes data object, and then we're going to do a bunch of things to it. And this is the part I think that is a little too complicated. So I'm going to move over to a second version of this and click over there now, and you can see what I've done here is to break it into 2 chunks. I've taken some of the stuff out. I took the name of the chunk out since we've got 2 chunks now, still suppressing those messages. Instead of just working with UN votes all the way through this big chunk, I decided to create using this assignment operator that you'll see a lot. That's just a less than symbol and then a dash, and it says we're going to create this new data object. I'm calling it UN votes 1. That's the name I'm giving it. And we're going to start by using UN votes, the original pipe operator, and then. Okay, so the first step, we're going to filter the big data object, UN votes. Excuse me, get rid of that little flag that jumped up there. And we want to filter on the country variable. That's one of our columns in our data. And we wanted to include just these 3 countries, the ones that we've chosen. Of course, you're going to edit 2 of those. And so I want it to filter just to contain Russia, United States, and China, and get rid of all the other countries. So I'm going to run these first 2 lines there, and you see I'm stopping with my highlighting there. Before the pipe operator, I don't want to jump down to the next line. And I can use Control Enter to run just that section. I think it's Command Enter on your Macs. And you can see we ran that part, and we created this new data object, and it's only got 16,000 rows instead of the 85,000 rows, 857,000 rows we had before. So we filtered out a bunch of data. We've still got 14 variables though. And we can look at those again by just clicking on a little blue there. You can see the variables that we've got and some information about those. So I'm going to close that back up. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to create a new variable. The date that we have in the UN votes gives us the month, day, year. And we want to simplify that just to give us the year. So we use a function that's called mutate. And it says we want to create this new variable year, a new column, and we're using the date, and we're pulling out using this year function, same name, to create this new year. So I'm going to run those first 3 rows, again stopping short of the pipe operator, Control Enter. And so what did we do? If I look over here, you can see we've got 15 variables, and I'm going to expand it. Now you can see there's the date. We still have it, that old year, month, day. But if I scroll down here, we've got year now. Added that column with just the years to make our life a little bit easier. The next thing we're doing, we want to do some calculations. We want to find the mean percent votes yes for each of those countries for each of the years. So we've got to do some manipulation here, some data wrangling. This first one groups by, and it kind of sets us up to tell R, let's look at by grouping my data by the country, and then by the year, and then by the issues. And then once we've grouped it, we're going to calculate a new variable that we're calling percent yes, and it is equal to the mean of the vote. That's an existing variable. When the vote is equal to yes, we calculate the total number of votes, and we then find what percentage of those were yeses. So now I can run this whole code chunk. Okay, and now you can see we're down to just 1,100 observations of those 4 variables. And you actually see a little bit better if I click over here and open it up into the editor source window. You can see we're down to the country, the year, the issue, and the percent yes. Makes our graphing job a little bit easier. Okay, I'm going to close that. And instead of putting this all in one long video, I'm going to stop here. We've wrangled our data, and we've got it into a usable format with just the information we need to make these plots. And I'll show you how that works in the next video.